here from Beads by Vicia, bringing you a tutorial on 2-drop peyote. Please give me a thumbs up and do pop a comment in the thread so I know you were present. So first of all, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about peyote. If you're new to beadwork, is telling you what is beadwork, what is peyote. So beadwork is a form of jewellery making using needle and thread. Now I wouldn't recommend you go and get your cotton out of your sewing box, although it's all right for practice, but it's not strong enough to sustain the sort of work we're doing. If you need any help with choosing a thread, pop me a note in the comments and I'll send you a list of the ones I'd recommend. So I'm using Toho and KO in the pieces that I've done. I'm using a size 10 beading needle. What is peyote? Peyote is a type of stitch and there's lots of them. Normally, let me find it, you can do what's called single peyote, which is where you do one bead at a time like this and they interlock and it feels like fabric. It's really a lovely effect that you can do on so many different things. Circular peyote, odd count peyote, it's endless. So we're going to keep it simple and go for 2-drop peyote. 2-drop peyote is using 2 beads at a time instead of 1. The whole idea for the tutorial really was to give you an idea as to making a ring band, so that if anybody's done any of the flower tutorials, you can sew your flower on the top. So these are using some size 10 seed beads. Now here's one, this is one of my favourite necklaces. It's actually a bead embroidered necklace, so I did the cabochon. Again, there's peyote around here. And this band, this necklace band, is 2-drop peyote. And I've edged it with a nice little edge on the side there. And I've also sewn randomly these freshwater pearls on there. So it would really only work if you've got a feature in the middle, because you can't get the scoop in it. So do you see what I mean? So I've attached the band to the centre. So that's one idea. The other idea is the ring. You could do a bracelet and attach it to a clasp. The other thing that a friend reminded me of earlier is that you can also do tea light covers with it. All you need for the tea light holders is literally a tea light. Make sure your beads don't overlap it because you don't want any fire hazards. And you would make it so that it slides on to the tea light, and then you can embellish it by sewing beads on. So there's another idea for you. I want to tell you about the different types of beads and the effects it gives. The most beautiful effect you're going to get with sort of this satiny, shiny finish is with either Toho delicas, Miyuki delicas or Toho treasures. They're cut like, I would say they're like tubular beads, and they interlock and they're shaped really symmetrically. So that's what I'm going to demonstrate on, but I thought it's really important to show you how it looks with, like, for example, the Czechoslovakian size 10s. That's the same stitch, but I think where you haven't got quite as perfect symmetry to the beads, it's not quite symmetrical, so symmetrical. But by the time you've joined it, you can't tell, but it hasn't quite got the same sheen. So what I'm saying is experiment with different size beads and see what effect you get. So any questions, please pop me a note in the thread. So I've got a coloured thread and I'm going to pop on 8 beads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Sorry, the counting's more for my benefit. Shimmy that along to the end of the thread. Let's move those beads out of the way. Now I like to wrap the tail around my little pinky to get a nice tension. Hopefully you can all see that. Now I'm going to pick up 2 and then I'm going to push the first 2 out of the way, and I'm going to go through the next 2 beads and pull. Tension is really important. Right. So hopefully you can see that. So I'm going to add another 2 delicas. I'm going to push 2 down and I'm going to go through the last 2 in the row and pull. Now pull them nice and tight together. So I'm going to put that down and show you how that comes out. So you've got 4 at the bottom, 2 in the middle, 4 at the top. Okay, so I'm just going to wrap that around my little pinky and I'm going to come back down towards me now. So I'm going to add 2 seed beads and I'm going to go through these 2 that are jutting out. Okay. With me so far? So you can see we've got a gap here. I'm going to add 2, go through 2 and pull. So you see the effect that we're getting there. Another 2, we're going back the other way. So obviously every time you come to an end you turn. 2, now you can play around with different numbered ones, with different numbered seeds, but not all even numbers fit because you won't get the correct turn. It's quite difficult to explain, but basically you want 2 beads on the end to be able to maneuver it easily. I'm just going to do another 2 rows and then I am going to show you how you interlock them. Now with regards to the ring, I would say the simplest way is, if it's for yourself, is to make the length and then test it round your finger to see if it's big enough. If it's for someone else, you probably want to get them to measure in centimetres what their size is of their finger. The only time it might not fit is if you're using some chunky beads and it takes up some of the diameter space. Okay, so there we go. Now, when you come to joining, so say for example you're going to make yourself a ring, I'm just going to switch to the one I did earlier and show you. Now you need to make sure, it reminds me a little bit of a zip, so it has to actually interlock with each other. I don't know if you can see that, but you have to have it so that they are at different points so that they lock in together. So if you've got the same pattern this side as that side, they won't lock in properly. You'd need to do another round. Okay, can you see how that will lock in? So I'm going to show you how to do it. I have tied off the end because it just, I would recommend you do that because it just starts coming slightly loose. So bring it round. I'm going to pop through those two and pull, and you can see how that brings it in together. Then I'm going to switch to the other side and go through those two and pull. You see how that's starting to interlock? Then we're going to switch to this side and pull. Sorry if I went off camera there. And then switch to this side. I'll just split my thread. Now on the last one, come back the other way. And you can't even see the join. So I would just reinforce that by going back down. When I say thread path, what I mean is follow the paths of the threads where you've been before. And I'll just show you, I'm going to tie off. For tying off, I'm going to go pick up a thread, like that. So a thread in between. Before you pull it, tie a knot and pull. Go through a few more beads. Pick up a tiny thread, pull. So you do that in 2 or 3 different spaces. Normally it's not recommended when you do the last tie off. I would actually push your needle through a couple of beads before you cut. It just gives it a little bit more extra security. Now if you're building in any thread, you do it the same way, but tie off your tail afterwards so that you know where your thread is. So you can't even see the join on that. And then like the other one, I mean, you could sew a few crystals on there, or you could, like this one, you could do some of the flowers. Just randomly stitch the flower to points within the ring itself. You can even get gold delicas, silver delicas, so that they look like gold and silver jewellery. So to subscribe to my newsletter, if you're not on there already, you also get a discount, is hop on over to beadsbythechill.co.uk and a little pop-up box will appear and say, do you want to subscribe? So if you haven't already, I'd really appreciate you doing that. Love to see your mates. See ya. Bye.